Hi there, I'm Pedrogoes, and this is the 10x Your Character podcast, a dialogue experience in which I interview millennials and post-millennials from different backgrounds with the goal to inspire you to become a responsible individual in society.
Try to catch me howling at the moon.
Hey guys, hope you guys are doing amazing. Hope you guys are feeling alive today. Hope you guys are staying grateful for, the things you already have in your life, which is the most important, the essentials. I'm grateful to bring this episode over to you guys today with Yavar Abgin. Yavar, he's a really, really good friend of mine. He's actually one of the first people I met when I moved to America. He knew me back when I barely spoke any English. And he's, studying medicine, soon to become a doctor. But he's just a very, very optimistic person. I've seen him, being so dedicated with his fitness and just, progressing so much in his overall life. Just an intellectual. And it was super amazing to have a conversation about truth, how truth actually hurts us. It exposes some areas in our lives maybe we've been lacking, some areas in our lives that we've been trying to put off. But how we can actually change our perspective and see truth as a way for us to improve ourselves and become better than who we were yesterday, but also, be a positive influence and impacting the world. Just was super, super honest conversation. We went back and forth. He asked me some great questions. So I hope you guys, listen to this episode and you guys get tons of value from it. Stay hopeful and continue becoming the best version of you. I'll see you on the other side.
Hope they won't shoot me down soon.
How's it going, Yavar?
I'm good. How are you?
No complaints, man. Hectic times, but we're here, still recording.
Yeah.
How's your day so far?
So far so good. I did a morning workout in the sun. It's
Really?
good. Yeah, it gets you sweating extra hard. I read a little bit for like school and a book, and now I'm here.
That's awesome, dude. So before we get right into the topic of today, give us the listeners a little bit about who you are, your background, how you got to where you are, and what you're currently doing.
So I am 21. I'm about to turn 22 in like a week. I am a senior at UCLA. I'm studying pre-med, and I'm very into traveling a lot. I like traveling to places with organizations that give to people who have less, like USC Global Medical Brigades. I'm trying to see if I could do another one soon. Well, like once this travel ban is restricted, I was in contact with the people I went with. So I like that. My hobbies, I run a lot, and I'm actually going to make a YouTube video soon on why I run. So, I do a lot of running. I do a lot of music making, but it's not like music making. I just make like music that I would put like behind my own videos.
Okay. So like that's good.
Yeah, so I do that. I play the piano a lot, and sometimes I play the guitar.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I didn't know that. That's good. So, today's topic is something that I've been learning across, the time that I've existed. And it's funny, the reason why I wanted to bring you in is like you were one of the first people I met when I moved here.
Yeah.
And you're probably one of the first of the few people that knew me before I even could speak barely any English.
I remember
right?
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember having PE with
Yeah.
Aria. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But, the topic is truth hurts, right? And it's hard sometimes to identify, especially in a postmodernism culture, what truth really is. We live in a culture now where it's so subjective to the point that, you live the way you want to live, and there's no right or wrong. You identify for yourself what's right or wrong for your life.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot of negative things that result as of that. I think that there are things that are subjective to who you are, but there's also objective things that are true to the, human nature.
Right.
And that brings me to the first point, right? We sometimes we deny things to ourselves, we lie to ourselves, and that results into always something bad. Right. And I think it's because a lot of times we have the perspective that truth, it's something that it's like an enemy that like exposes the darkness in areas of our lives. And I think the way that I have been able to not only seek truth, but also accept when others tell me, or when I hit a wall and I realize that I've been doing something wrong, and what's the opposite of that so I can start doing it right, is that I stopped looking at truth as an enemy and saw it as a way for me to better myself and a way to continue improving. And
All right.
that shift in my perspective really changed things for me.
I have two questions. Well, two comments. So the first thing you said was that first thing you said is that truth exposes the darkness in people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that truth always exposes darkness, or do you think truth exposes events that people have pushed off? Maybe
That could be it too.
you know what I'm saying? It's not always
Yeah.
darkness. It's something that they just haven't tapped into because maybe they're scared, like they're scared of the unknown, you know?
Mhm. Yes, uncertainty or
Yeah.
uncomfortable zones that they haven't stepped into.
And the second thing was that you're saying you seek truth. I wanted to know, I've never heard, like, I know people go out to accept other people's comments about their own truths, but how do you seek truth?
I think one of the things that I've learned to accept is that even though I have my beliefs about life, spirituality, my religion, I could always be wrong in certain aspects of my life. And I think that my seeking of the truth is in a way that it plays out like my daily life. It's my open-mindedness to hearing others and their perspective on things rather than shutting them off right away.
Yeah.
And not hearing what they have to say and say like, oh, I'm right.
Right.
Or what you say, there's no reference point you can point to. There's no true argument.
Right.
And really dropping that like self righteousness and really being open-minded to realizing that, okay, I can get things right, but I can also get things wrong.
Right.
And not all the time the truth is going to play out in the way that I expect it to. Let's say, for example, in my life, I can think that living in a specific way, it's the best for several reasons. But then I look at someone else's life and maybe their experience from their past won't really play out the same as the way I see for myself.
Okay.
I guess, let's say I'm on a freeway driving, and then someone else gets in the freeway.
Right.
And I think that, truth is going straight.
Like in your own lane.
Yeah, in my own lane.
Right.
But then someone may leave the freeway and they're
Right.
not traveling the same path as me, but that does not necessarily mean that I'm right or that person is wrong.
I see what you're saying.
It's just different perspectives, because individuals, they're different and they interpret the world differently.
Okay.
So for me to be just black and white in all areas of my life, I think that stops me from finding truth or seeing areas that I could improve in my life if I just think of everything as black and white.
Okay.
Yeah. How do you see truth, or how do you see that? Because you mentioned sometimes we put things off or we're scared to face something, and that could be a way for the truth to show you that, oh, you need to do that, but you're choosing not to.
I think the most apparent one, especially for me and for I think students, is procrastination, because like to define it explicitly, to be truthful with yourself is to say, all right, I have to do this. Let's do it right now. That's truthful. But most of the time, even myself, I would go on the computer, go on YouTube, watch a video, or I don't know, go outside and do something, play with my dog, just do something else. That's putting off the truth. But I guess if I were to do what you're saying and seek the truth more often, I would probably start by confronting myself, being like, okay, this needs to be done. Even saying it out loud, all right, let's get to work, I think hearing yourself say something makes you do it significantly more often than if you just think it,
Yeah, I agree. Because even, let's say, for example, in a relationship with someone, your best friend, let's say the person is lying all the time, but you know the reality. Let's say they're like, oh yeah, I make this much money a year, I do all this sort of activities to all the other people that they meet, but you know that they're not living that.
Right.
I feel like a lot of times people, they know that we could be improving in certain areas of our lives, and we could be denying things for ourselves or lying to ourselves in whatever area isn't most uncomfortable for us. A lot of people will be, fitness. A lot of people will be their health. Some people will be financially not accepting that they're making the money that they're currently making because they're so afraid to be judged by others if they're making less money than the average person their age, whatever the case may be.
Right.
And I think it's true friendship or true relationship is for us to give each other a constructive criticism if we're lacking something in our lives, like, or we're just putting things off.
Right.
And I think that's a way for you to run from the truth.
Right.
Putting things off because you should be doing something, and that's the truth. But also sometimes we can be doing things that are not always correct. And I feel like as a true friend, I would prefer if the person even confront me.
Yeah.
Even, of course, it's going to hurt me because the topic is the truth hurts.
Yeah.
A lot of times we get so defensive.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example.
We're not robots.
I'll give
We're
you an
humans.
example. Like literally driving here, I went to grab a coffee and I was driving, and the guy in front of me, the light turned green, and he was looking at his girlfriend's phone in the passenger seat.
The guy in the driver's seat was looking.
So
okay.
I just give a little honk, and it was not even. I was not even pissed. Like, come on, dude, drive it, just so he can know that he should be
it's
driving.
green light, right?
But the way he reacted to it
Right.
was to the point that he thought that I was so pissed off, and I couldn't wait 2 seconds for him to finish whatever thing that he was doing towards getting back to driving.
Right.
And so the way he interpreted the wake up call that I gave him was if I was impatient.
Yeah.
And now he got pissed and like, dude, like you're freaking out. He started looking, in the mirror, like, etc. So that's how we usually react to the truth, right? Like because
you're trying to preserve your own ego.
Yeah,
you're trying to say like someone else did something wrong.
Yeah,
it's not me that did something wrong. Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of times it's so important for us to make sure that we're that type of person to others, that we're not gonna hold back from saying something that we feel like we should say in a certain moment.
Okay.
And that I don't mean that like you need to wait for that moment, like, oh, I'm gonna get him right now.
Yeah.
Not that fact, because now it's not
That's
even
just
that
revengeful.
you're not even trying to help someone. You're just trying to like boost up your own ego prove to someone that you're right and they're wrong. That's not what I mean.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like, okay, like, dude, I think you're being a little selfish here. Like, you should, every time someone asks for you to do something, you get like defensive and you say no. But when it's time for you to ask things of others, you want them immediately.
Right.
Let's say that could be a case for you to be like, dude, wake up. Like, that's a blind spot that you don't realize, and you're not even doing maybe consciously, and you don't mean to do it. But like, it's time for me to say that. And of course, the person's gonna be like, "What? Where did that come from? Like, you never told me that, or I don't see that."
People don't expect the truth, is what you're
saying. So, how do you think that? Do you think that you've chosen to surround yourself with that? Have you ever surrounded yourself with people that didn't do that, and did it result in something worse than you would have been if you surrounded yourself with people that did give you constructive criticism?
That's a really good question. I have surrounded myself with a few of my friends have really helped me change my life, and one of them helped me like greatly in fitness, and the way he did that was through constructive criticism. He's like, you need to do this, and this in order to change this, and this, because these things about you right now are like objectively not good. Like, being overweight is objectively not good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not like acceptance of,
it's not something you should take pride in. Like,
right,
come on,
exactly.
Let's be honest. Like,
it's literally bad for your health. Like, there's no benefit to it. So he's like, all right, so you need to do this, and I'll help you. We went to the gym together, and he worked me out, and he took time out of his day to help me, and I'm always grateful for that. But overall, I'd say more often than not, I'm always in a group of people that we have like a collective mind. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'd say if I were to improve, I would try to find maybe more people to surround myself with that would give me constructive criticism, but also I think you could get constructive criticism by looking to yourself and saying, all right, what can I improve on? Right? And then you could look with the internet, you could find the answers to everything.
Yeah.
So you could look up the best person in what you're trying to improve on. Like if you're trying to become a better runner, you find the best person who speaks on that topic. That's I consider that surrounding yourself with people who give you constructive criticism, even though it's through the internet. That I consider that surrounding yourself. Like surround everything you see and hear by the thing you're trying to obtain.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, because the reason why I asked that is there's no, we can say that, oh, I can go through life myself, but that's
that's not impossible.
Good luck with that, and you're gonna be miserable. And it's clearly shown that like we need people in our lives, and that makes us feel more fulfilled and satisfied with who we are, and it makes life more meaningful. Overall. So the reason why I say that is because the majority of when we say our environment, a huge part of the environment is our relationships.
Okay.
If you think about it, because if we're not spending time with ourselves, like working, asking ourselves deep questions that you ask, like where can I improve on, who am I, what I want to do, how do I want to serve others, etc. There's a part of our environment, or a part of our environment is that moment that we're with ourselves and we're speaking with who we are, like asking ourselves that question, right? Those questions, and really analyzing our overall life or past, etc. And then there's a part in which is like the media, what we see online, and then there's a time with personal relationships that are more deep. They know more about who you are, rather than the majority of people, and the same goes for more of who they are compared to the average person. And that circle, as you said, you guys create a collective mind, right? And it's funny because I've even discussed this with Stratos or other people. It's like when we sit down with someone, we have a discussion with them, it's like we're putting a third brain right here, right? Right. And we're creating this third brain in which we both can get information from. Right. And I think that's how you relate with the collective mind, right? And
we're all picking from that same collective mind. That's why we share the same thoughts. I see what you're saying. Okay.
And the cool thing about that is that from analyzing that, you're going to be able to criticize you in ways in which you would not be able to criticize yourself, right? If you were just with yourself,
right? You need you need like another perspective, is what you're saying.
Exactly, because let's be honest, it's like we don't know. Look, my therapist, she showed me this. There's 3 aspects of ourselves. There's the person that we know, right? That there's the Yavar that that other people don't. Yes. There's the Yavar that people know that you don't know. And there's the Yavar no one knows. Okay. And there's like 3 aspects of the self. Okay. And that's what I mean. It's like if you don't surround yourself with other people that will criticize you, you will never find out the third part. The second part in which people know that you don't. Okay. So that's the blind spots, right? That we can't see it in ourselves. Right. And the example I gave of the guy who, keeps telling people that, no, I can't help you now, or like your mom comes in like, can you help me with this? No, I can't right now, I'm doing this. Yeah. But every time that he needs something, he wants it immediately. Yeah. He may not even be knowing that he's doing that because it's become a habit, and it's become unconscious, and he has no clue consciously that that's harming his relationship with others, and people are thinking that he's selfish. If there's no one in his life that can be truthful to him and say, oh, like, dude, you're being selfish right now, no matter if that's going to cause conflict, I don't really think that person is a true friend of yours. Because if they want you to be better, they will want you to become less selfish. And they would want to give you a truthful advice.
What if people... Okay, so in regards to that, what if people are scared of telling the truth to other people? So, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know what?
What if people are fear giving constructive criticism?
Do you know what I will say to that? It's my answer to that will be like, if you're afraid to tell others the truth, I'm afraid that you don't tell yourself the truth. Okay. About yourself. Right. That's because you're gonna bring to other people exactly who you are, man. Okay. And if you're not gonna you're gonna
that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
And if you exactly so that's another way. Like if you're not able to tell other people the truth, I don't think you're really telling yourself the things that you know you should be telling yourself the truth, really. Yeah. And so I think it all contributes and it makes like a perfect harmony. Like once you surround yourself with people that care for you, and I'm not talking about the truth as always like something that you're gonna stab someone with it, because I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
think
yeah.
someone I
It
don't
doesn't
think
have to be
because I think
bad.
people are
Yeah.
afraid of telling others the truth because they see truth as being something like that. So that's why the first point it was like changing your perspective on truth.
Okay.
It's like truth should be something that is gonna open up the door for you to reach a new level of who you are that you were always looking for.
Okay.
And if you don't open up your mind towards the truth, you're never gonna reach that self improvement point that you thought of achieving. Because that's what really means to improve yourself is to become more of who you were
Yeah.
yesterday, better than
Yeah.
who you were yesterday. And that process is really finding out errors. It's not always about doing more. Sometimes it's about doing less, right? I feel
Right.
like so many times we're like, how can I run more? How can I do this more? But sometimes it's really about like, oh, how can I complain less?
Oh, I see
How
what
can
you're
I
saying.
do this less?
Yeah.
And I feel like both combined become a harmony, and you start becoming a better person as a result.
Right.
So the third point, right, like how influence shapes the person we become and the way we behave in our society. So, that's a big topic.
That's
Like
a huge
you can
topic.
really talk about it like for hours and hours.
That's a
But
huge topic.
we sometimes look at influence, I think, as the speaker who has having conferences and that crazy influencer, uh but we forget to think that influence can start with right here,
Right.
uh and it can start as small as you speaking with someone else and you're influencing that person and they're influencing you. And
Okay, go ahead.
yeah, you can say your point just because, and here's why influence is so important to me. It's because in high school, if I look back, I was influenced by the people that I surrounded myself with, which shaped me in ways to making decisions that I was later not proud of.
Mm-hmm.
And I changed that environment and I changed those influences and I became a different person.
Right.
And I truly believe that no matter how self-control you are, no matter how much positivity you have in you, how much books you've read, how much wisdom you have, if you put yourself in an awful environment filled with people that are,
Yes,
that have
yeah.
no ambition,
Definitely.
that are just doing drugs all day, and you're constantly in that environment, you will change into that.
Definitely. Yeah.
100%.
100%. So, what I was gonna say is, it's funny because everybody today is labeled a public influencer. What is it called on like Instagram? If you
Yeah,
have
it's
like,
like
over like 5,000 followers, you're like an influencer now.
yeah.
And it's the funny thing about that is how those are the people influencing thousands of people, like what a unless you're doing something like excellent, you know what I'm saying? But if you're just posting pictures of like food, I mean, if you're going out and you just got like a really cool cupcake, like how are you influencing people? But yeah,
Yeah.
influence is a huge part
Yeah.
of who, like, you are who you surround yourself with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I always say while I'm at home, like after I'm done talking to my friends, or if I had like a big FaceTime with like a handful of my friends, like I'm always so grateful and so happy and so thankful that I have like such good friends, I have like friends that just focus on improving themselves, studying, becoming professionals, like helping the world become a better place, helping others,
Yeah.
like learning new talents, and yeah, I'm just like extremely happy.
Yeah.
It's kind of luck because I grew up with
those.
with these people, and whenever you grow up with someone, you don't know who they're going to become. Well, you kind of know who they're going to become, but anything could happen, right? And if you grow up with someone, that means you probably, well, I grew up with them since I was like 8 or 9 years old, and maybe even early. Like I have some friends that I've grown up with since I was like 2 or like 3, but I never knew who these people were going to be when I was 8 years old, right? So that's where I'm saying I'm lucky. I'm so lucky
Yeah.
that
You played out the way.
everything played out well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I grew up with people who just went down the right path. And I think even if you found yourself in people who are people who you don't want to be around, like it's important to break off those people. Like if you're, this is something I actually discovered for myself. If you're trying, for example, to lose weight, don't surround yourself with people who go out every night, because that's tempting. Don't surround yourself with people who
The influencer who posts cupcakes.
right. Don't like unfollow all those pages that tempt you. Like don't buy things in your house that will tempt you. Don't go out with your friends that eat at bad places. You need to cut those things out. That's one of the things. Like,
I feel like people are, and that's why I feel like the self-sabotage and the denial, right?
Yeah.
It's like the guy says, I need to develop self-control. But at the same time, the reason why I want to develop self-control is because I want to lose weight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the ice cream that I currently have on the fridge there, but I'm not going to eat it because I'm practicing self-control. It's like, no, you get that ice cream and you throw it away so that now you need to get off your ass and you need to go to the grocery store to buy it, which is going to be so much harder than it was to just walk
get to
off
the fridge. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Influence doesn't start with other people. Influence starts with how you allow yourself to be influenced. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and one thing that you touched when you were talking about your group of friends, how you said, they're working on improving themselves.
Yeah.
It's so easy for us to look outside and say like, oh yeah, these people are focusing on improving themselves. And I think Jordan Peterson says in the 12 Rules for Life, the most important rule for me, it's treat yourself like you're somebody responsible for taking care of.
Okay.
So a lot of times we're like, your mom is sick, you're like, you need to drink the medicine. You need to.
Yeah.
But when it's you don't treat yourself that intensively, like as if you're somebody for taking care of.
That's a really good point.
And I feel like so many times we think about self-sacrifice as something like, oh, I'm going to give up my time towards helping that person. But sometimes like a sacrifice that you do for others could be you spending your time improving yourself, so therefore you're a better person and you're going to be better for these relationships that you have in your life as a consequence of becoming better.
Right. I think you should re-mention the point from Jordan Peterson's book for people who are listening.
Yeah, it's like, you should treat yourself as somebody you're responsible for helping.
Helping. Yeah.
Because we just look as help, we think of others.
Yes.
It's like, of course others need help. But if you remain the person who you are today, will you actually continuously be helping people, or
eventually you might need help? Yeah.
And if you continuously improve, you're gonna be of more service and help to others. So it's something that we need to really push back into people's mind and even tell ourselves, is like, I am responsible for helping myself.
Right.
Because I'm a person just like my friend, in which I should be responsible and I should be telling the truth and I should be compassionate towards. I should do those same things for myself.
Right. This has like not much to do with Truth Hurts, but it has something to do with what you just said. I was actually just watching like yesterday a Q&A that Jordan Peterson did, and I never read the book about I never read that book, but he did talk about one of his points. I think the first rule of the book was walk up with your shoulders back and your chest out, or like straight back or something like that. And that really stood out. Like, how you carry yourself is so important,
Yeah, it's true, because it comes back to the point, the first point, the first podcast, right, with Stratos, which is self-confidence and self-worth. Like, the self-confidence, it's like it's not even a way for you to boost your ego or to be prideful of yourself. It's not. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just realizing that you have as much value as other people in society, and that you can stand up for yourself and you can be confident about making the decisions that you really believe that are to best of your life. And you shouldn't just overvalue other people's opinions about what they think you should be doing.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, who knows more about yourself? You.
Right.
Like, they don't know as much as you know about yourself.
Right.
And you're the ones who have the dreams, the interests that constantly your mind shows you. So it's so important too to like put ourselves in a position where in which we're like with our shoulders back, right? We need to be people that not pity us ourselves, because that's another thing that I feel about that happened with this postmodern culture. It's like victims.
Yeah, everybody's a
It's
victim
like
of
everyone
something.
is a victim of something, right? And it's like you think that you're doing yourself a favor by doing that, but actually you're
harming
actually
yourself.
delaying the process of you getting over that
Right.
slavery.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
now you're not saying that you're not just saying I'm a victim, but I can change. You're saying I'm a victim, and it's because of this or that person,
And I can't get
and
past
I can't
it
get past that
until the
they,
system changes.
Until
Right,
the system
right.
changes, or that person comes in,
Right.
says sorry or whatever it is. Then
Definitely.
I'll be able to move on with my life. And it's like, really, you want to?
You're waiting for someone else to do something. Yeah, like that's
like,
not
good
gonna
luck.
happen.
That's
Yeah.
not that's not the most effective and efficient approach you should take if you truly want to just continuously get better. It's just not.
Right. All right. So I actually had one more question based on something you said. I wanted to know, based on like the topic that you brought up about the truth in self-care, or do you think it's more difficult to practice the stuff you tell other people, or do you think it's more difficult to practice the stuff other people tell you? So like, do you think it's harder to practice what you preach, or practice what other
People
other people
preach to you.
Yeah.
Well, it's a tough one.
I've been thinking about that, because like
It's a
you
really,
always
really good
you
question.
always are trying to tell people what to do, like, oh, do this, it's better, do that, it's better.
Yeah.
But how
it's like,
often do you actually do
what
it
I
yourself?
say, don't do what I do, right? It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
if we really look about how we preach, it's always like, do what I say, don't do what I do.
Yeah.
Because like, if you really look at my life, I'm just as struggling as you.
Right.
But I think that it's harder for. It depends really on what it is that someone is trying to preach to us, I think.
Okay.
Because if it's something that, again, it's going against something that we're trying to deny for ourselves, I think it's always going to be harder.
Okay.
Because if we're
That goes back to breaking that.
that level of like that shield that you put
Yeah.
on yourself. But the reason why I say that is because I truly believe that in order for you to solve something or become better at something, you need to first realize that there's a problem there.
Right. Definitely.
It's like you shouldn't go seek a solution until you actually analyze and understand what's the problem, why it's there, etc. Where did it originate? And I think that if you're preaching something to someone, let's say, oh, you should exercise. Here's why. You already know about that subject more than you do about something that you're trying to deny for yourself.
Okay.
So I feel like that's easier for you to implement, something that you're preaching to someone, because you already made it consciously to yourself.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
But if someone is telling you something, it's probably still just on your subconscious mind because you're always denying it for yourself. Let's say being selfish.
Yeah.
And if you've been doing that, let's say you've because everything, bro, it's psychology, right?
Yeah.
It's like a lot of the things that your way of living, the way you think, the way you live, it's a lot of it is coming from your childhood.
Yeah.
You know, how
huge
you were
part.
raised.
Right.
You grab, the first people that you look into, like, how should I live, is your parents.
Right.
So let's say if your dad is selfish, let's say, and you're selfish now, a huge reason it's because of that.
Right.
And now for you to rewrite that story, it takes time.
Right.
And that's, I think, that the reason why a lot of people have trouble changing is because they expect that once they make things conscious to themselves, that it's going to change overnight, and they don't have patience with themselves in the process of change. Even like with fitness, right? We expect that, okay, I know that I need to exercise, I'm going to start running. And then, but subconsciously we're thinking, okay, I'm going to probably run for a week and I'm going to be good.
Yeah.
It's never like, oh, I'm going to need to be doing this for 18 months. So that I can actually develop a truthful habit to the point that I'm even on the days that I least feel like running, I'll be
do
running.
it. So that's a really good point. And whenever you just said people run for a week and just like they already know in the back of their mind that, oh, okay, I'll probably be like, I'll probably slow down my regimen a week from now. That is a huge part of this like postmodern era or society. And I think it ties back to how fast everybody wants to get what they want.
Yeah.
And people are losing a sense of delay gratification. I mean, they're losing a sense of delay gratification, and they're really seeking instant gratification, right? And like that's where you see so many YouTube ads like get rich quick. I did this,
and you know what's the most funny part about that? It's because most millennials and people that think like a postmodern, they're seeking happiness.
Right.
But I tell you, they're not seeking happiness. They're seeking pleasure.
Right. Okay.
Because to seek happiness is really to seek meaning. Because happiness, bro, comes and goes.
Yeah.
You may be feeling happy right now because it's sunny out. We're having an awesome conversation. But you may get home and your parents may tell you, man, like, you know, your school is telling us that you're gonna need to work twice as hard, and that you'll be like, dude,
you're twice as hard.
Like,
right.
I don't get to sleep right now.
Yeah.
Right. So how you're gonna maintain happy there? But if you know why you're studying and why do you want to do it for yourself, that meaning.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what emotion it's throughout, you're gonna sustain yourself. But if you're seeking pleasure, my friend, you're seeking disappointment really, because pleasure is never gonna fulfill.
Pretty
you.
instantaneous. Yeah.
It's gonna feel good there. The second that you sit down and have that ice cream, and then
Yeah.
you're gonna be. And the worst part is that it's not only that you're gonna feel bad that you ate the ice cream. Now you're gonna be full of shame and guilt. You're gonna tell yourself that I'm never gonna change. You're gonna feel so much guilt about yourself, and then you're gonna spend like hours and hours complaining that you did that, and it's so shameful that you did it, instead of like, oh, actually, let me just throw now this ice cream out.
Yeah.
And from now on, even though I messed up, which is okay because I'm a human.
Yeah.
Let me tomorrow try to do better than I did today.
Yeah. So. I've like already. I'm very happy with how I physically look because I worked extremely hard for 3 years. Like if you remember, because we went to high school together. Like if you remember how I was like 3 years ago, I was like very overweight. You know, not in shape. But even now that I'm super in shape and like I could like eat something unhealthy and I won't actually like get fat or whatever.
Yeah.
But even if I have an ice cream or whatever, 9 out of 10 times, the next morning I'd be like, damn it, why'd I eat that? You know, like I could have just had like a bite of it and thrown it away. Like,
yeah, I feel like it's normal to do that. And
there's one more thing that I just remembered. So I told you I work with this. Well, I shadow and I tag along this professor at the UCLA Medical School. And he goes to he talks on it at a TV studio weekly, and most of the time I accompany him.
Yeah.
And we talk together, and it's in the valley, so we drive there together. And the first few car rides, we got to know each other more because we're in the car, sitting shoulder to shoulder. And he said something about pleasure that was very eye-opening. So he used to smoke. Like he was very addicted to smoking when he was younger, and not much younger, like maybe 20 years ago. So he was an adult. He was like, I think in his 40s, 20 years ago. And he said, I realized, and he's a cardiologist and he smokes. So it's kind of ironic. So he realized that the first puff he took was the best feeling, right? The second puff he took was just a little bit like, it was not as good, but it was pretty good. The third puff he took was all right, you know, like he's happy. After the third one, it's just a matter of finishing it. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just a matter of just finishing it just to finish it. And
like started, let me finish.
Yeah, exactly. Even though the first 3 puffs were the only ones that felt good. And he realized that, okay, this is what my problem is. My problem is I have a downward spiraling behavior pattern, right? I get something that feels good, even though it's not good for me, and I just finish it. And I just get it. I hit rock bottom. So he said to solve that, he didn't go cold turkey and just cut it out. He said, okay, smoking an entire cigarette requires like, I don't know, smoking the whole thing, right? So to better his health, he got rid of that 98% of the rest part. So he took the first 3 hits and threw it out. The next week he took 2 hits and threw it out. The next week he took 1 hit, but maybe it wasn't a week. But that's what my point is. You don't have to like cut out those things. You could still find pleasure, but there's a right way of finding it.
Yeah.
And now he finds pleasure in being healthy. Do you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And I think that's what I was trying to say. Like, for example, with you, right? If you feel guilty all the time, that guilt can come from a place of being afraid to go back to where you were.
Definitely.
And that's normal, right?
Yeah.
It's like if you got into a better place. That's why I say, like, most rich people that they say they're humble with their money, they're not really, especially if they came from poor families.
Okay.
Because what they're really saying is they're scared of going back to where they are. That's why they don't spend their money. That's not because they're really humble.
Okay. Whoa, that's a good way of putting it.
But it's not even that they want to fake that they're humble or not. It's just it's really
like
normal.
actually subconscious.
Yeah,
I never thought of that.
Like, we're like, man, like I hated being poor. Like, I hated being in this situation. Like, health-wise, for multiple reasons. Now I'm here. Like, I cannot lose this.
Right.
It's like and that's the problem. It's because if we don't analyze ourselves from a psychological perspective, we'll find that we keep putting enslaving ourselves in different areas of our lives, right?
Right.
And like, even from what you're saying, like, it's why shouldn't you have an ice cream? Like, why can't you from time to time have an ice cream? Like, so I'm only gonna eat vegetables and protein and keep a low carb.
I mean, I did that too.
Yeah.
But it was ultimately like to reach an end point.
Yeah.
You have to make those self-sacrifices.
Yeah, but which is okay, because we've understood from now, like, by taking action, that really the process of growth is a process where we're gonna have to deny pleasure,
right,
or delay it at least,
right,
and it's gonna be uncomfortable to the point that we're gonna be doing things that we never enjoyed it in the beginning. And once we've reached the result, we passed to kind of enjoy it because we saw that it brought something that we were looking for.
Right.
But that's the same time, if you look at men in our generation, the way that they sleep from women to women, want to buy the car to impress the other guys, whatever the case may be, it's all pleasure.
Right.
It's never happiness. The guy is not saying that I'm gonna break up with this girl after I've been dating her for 3 months because actually we don't connect. It's not really because of that. It's because the pleasure. It's the cigarette.
It died out.
It's the cigarette.
Yeah, the pleasure died out.
The first 3 hits, the first 3 sex was amazing, and then it just became normal.
Right.
And it's the same thing with the cigarette. So really, what people, they're not looking for the right partner. They're not looking for happiness, but they're looking for pleasure. And that's why that's why guys will sleep with 100 girls and still feel like, man, I need to experience another one.
Right.
It's not, you don't need to experience another one unless that's all you're trying to get. If it's pleasure,
if you're addicted to pleasure, that's your thing.
You're gonna have to do that.
Yeah.
But if you actually want commitment and meaning in a relationship, you shouldn't look for just pleasure. It's gonna be part of it, but pleasure becomes a deeper. It's like a joyful thing. It's not just the instant gratification. And just so you know how you were saying, it's so true, like about the postmodern culture looking for instant pleasure. I'm reading a book currently by Tim Keller. It's called Every Good Endeavor, and it's about work. About work as dignity, how we find meaning in work, and also like the fruitless part of work, the pointless part, how sometimes it can feel pointless, how sometimes we can work so hard and don't get the end result we expected, and how that's all part of work, and we need to accept that if we want to be more fulfilled when we're during your work. And one part that he mentions is there's this 2 executive marketing directors that quit their job because when they were doing their work, it's like this woman, her firm worked with 2 cosmetics companies, and the way the cosmetic companies wanted her to do the copywriting, the ads, was pretty much to show that their products brought love into your life and made you love yourself. So the problem with this culture, it's that the way we portray business, service, or products, it's no longer my product or my service adds value to your life. My product or my service gives you a life.
Oh, okay.
It's not only adding value to the current life you have. It's like pretty much saying that your life that you have, it's not actually a life. I'm gonna give you the life. And if you look at all this selling courses of this millennials, it's this thing. It's like, wouldn't you want to feel useful? Wouldn't you want to like people to look at you and feel like meaningful? And have abundance and have this abundance mind. Well, they're not telling you that whatever they're gonna teach you is gonna bring value to your life. They're saying, I'm gonna actually give you a life in which you actually never had. And that's the problem. If we constantly go outside and we seek for another life outside of the one we currently have, all we're gonna ultimately get is disappointment.
Okay.
In the beginning, it's gonna be pleasure, because we're gonna be able to tell ourselves, oh man, I'm doing this course, I'm gonna be able to make 20K, whatever. Whatever you're gonna tell your friends, and you're gonna feel comfortable because your friends are gonna go, whoa, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
But then after 2 months, that you see you're not gonna get that 10K that fast because it requires so much more knowledge than you thought you did. It's like you're gonna go back to the same, and then you're gonna look for the next shiny object.
So I have a point to make. Well, actually, I have a question to ask about the main topic about personal truth, I guess. So, like, getting through college, right? You hear a lot of people and a lot of professors and a lot of mentors say, "Do what makes you happy," right? And I've always thought that that's not 100% true.
Nope.
And I don't know why, like, so many people, I would say the greater majority of people are kind of killing time because they're trying to find what makes them happy and pursue that for the rest of their life. Like, what makes me happy is just sitting down at the piano and just playing.
Literally.
But I'm not going to do that for the rest of my life. You know what I'm saying? What makes me happy is going for a jog, but I'm not going to do that for the rest of my life.
I think it's such an important topic. We need to even have a second discussion primarily on that, but we can touch a little bit just because there's so many points that we can make. But it's one of the biggest problems that I think we're having in our society today.
The phrase "do what makes you happy,"
and I've even discussed this. Do what makes you passionate, dude. Passion, if you look scientifically, it's a temporary stage.
Right.
You get into a relationship with your girlfriend. It's passion for 3 months.
Yeah.
And that passion is that blind love in which you're willing to overlook the person's flaws, and you're always seeing the thing that you see through your perspective of them. As soon as that passion goes, what do you start seeing? You start seeing the other person's flaws.
Right.
And then most people, because they're thinking that, I'm going to seek happiness or passion, they're going to be like, oh, we were never meant to be. And they do the same thing when it comes to work.
But the thing is, I think people immediately take the left side and say, oh, so you're going to be miserable for the rest of your life? No, I still what I'm trying to pursue will make me happy. But that's not the ultimate reason why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So and I'll say that the answer to their question, if you're really trying to pursue something that's gonna make you happy throughout your whole life,
I think you should pursue something that gives you value.
Actually, you're not pursuing reality. You're pursuing heaven. Because that's really what heaven means. It's this perfect reality where everything's bliss.
Right.
That's what the problem is. People are trying to bring heaven to earth. It's like I'm not
two
sure
separate worlds.
I'm not sure if you have seen the world yet. I'm not sure that you've seen that you're decaying, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that you've seen that people are gonna disappoint you, and you're not as disciplined as you think you are, because, dude, you wake up at the wrong times every day. It's like right. And that's what I think it's the problem. People have this false perception of what work entails and what it actually means. Like, the problem is this: we all want to make ourselves feel significant and useful. And that's why why they'll pursue something, because they're like, I want to change the world through my work, right?
Okay.
I want to change people's lives,
right?
And all this, and it's like, who said that you're not already doing that? Through your
100%.
relationships. So you're saying that you're changing yourself, you're running, you're getting better, you're treating people nicer, and you're saying thank you when you used to not say. How you're not making the world a better place. I'm always skeptical about those people that boldly dream that says, I want to change the world. And it says, like, how are you going to do that? And they have no answer to that question always. And I'm saying, if you really want to change the world and you're not changing your family inside of your house, or you're not changing yourself, good luck changing the financial system or the economic system or the politics. Yeah, like, good luck. I want to see you do that. And that's where I think, like, society or even mentors, they are completely failing on telling people the reality. It's because work, dude, happiness, it's a state of mind. I'm not saying that you're gonna be become a lawyer and be
Right.
miserable.
That's what I'm saying.
And,
Yeah,
and you
exactly.
hate that thing. That's completely different.
Yeah.
But if you think you're gonna find, it's two
You're
sides.
always
right?
gonna be
You're
happy?
always
Yeah.
gonna be happy.
It's not gonna happen.
It's a lie. And if you find someone once you go out of my house right now, and you're telling me that you've met someone that completely happy,
I'll bring him on the
I'll
podcast.
bring him on the podcast, and I'm gonna I can't do that for that person, but they really need to look in the mirror and say that they're lying to themselves.
Yeah.
Because there's no one in this life that's gonna be happy tomorrow. Like they're gonna wake up every single day of their
Ecstatic.
life. Oh my god! Like,
Yeah.
So happy to
Yeah.
do what I'm doing. It's like no, like that doesn't exist. Like,
Well, Jordan, the same Q&A that I was talking about, Jordan Peterson answered a question from one of the people in the audience asking about hierarchies, right? And how people go into the professional world and everybody went to seek happiness and nobody faced that real truth and ask themselves like, do I really want to just do something that makes me happy? Because what if you're doing something that makes you happy but is not providing any value, right?
you're not gonna be happy then because you're not adding value to
and
yourself
that's
or
why
people.
that's why he says don't seek happiness, don't seek pleasure. You should seek make yourself valuable not only to yourself but
to the
to your
world.
immediate. It doesn't have to be to the world, to your immediate surroundings. Like personally, whenever I became in shape and in fit, other people came to me and they're like, what should I do? All that stuff.
Yeah.
So I realized, like if I do something and it works, other people are going to ask me how to do
Yeah.
it. And that's the way. You don't have to change the world.
people-
Nobody has to change the world.
and that's the funny thing,
Just
most-
change the few people that you're close with.
Yeah, and they will change a few more, and then when
Yeah.
you see you're actually changing the world by doing that.
Nobody
And
has
that's-
changed the world
Yeah.
single hand. Like that's not a real thing. That's
but that's the ultimate perception. But here's the funny thing: even if you talk to those people, they're gonna say that that's not their vision. But if you look subconsciously, it actually is. But the point here is what you're saying is so true, and about like how you became fit and people came to you.
Yeah.
It's because people don't learn through me saying here. It's telling you, Yavar, you need to tell yourself
Yeah.
the truth, man.
yeah.
No one learns that way.
Yeah.
You know how it's gonna happen? It's because let's say if you're constantly lying about yourself, let's say your fitness, your whatever
it is,
whatever
yeah.
the case is, and I'm doing the exact opposite. And then we meet 2 years from now, and you see where I got, not just financially, just talking. I
Everything.
seem
You're
to be so much
healthier, yeah.
happier than you. I have a wife, I have my kids, etc. And you're like, dude, what happened?
Right.
And it says, man, I just told myself the truth even when I didn't want to hear. Then you're gonna you want to listen, like, because you're gonna see the result.
Yes.
People don't. Most people that are saying they're gonna change the world, they're not taking action. They're just talking about it.
Right.
That's the problem. It's like once you start exercising and you start getting fit, people are gonna come to you. They're gonna see that they can do it too.
Yeah.
That's how you change the world, because
Yeah.
you're gonna change yourself. And then people in your circle of influence, they're going to see that it's possible for them to change themselves too, because they saw someone else
Do it.
that they know do
personally.
it.
Yeah.
That's how you would change the world.
Right.
It's really by changing yourselves. You don't have to go to the financial institution and say, everyone here is corrupt. I'm so good. I'm so good that I'm going to
Hire
fix it
me.
all. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
by the time you think you're going to get to that high of the
They
hierarchy,
kick you out.
they'll kick you out immediately.
Yeah.
People have this superficial understanding of like how the world works and how society works.
I think it's also because they say change the world. Nobody, Jesus Christ didn't change the world while he was alive. Like
Yeah.
nobody has changed the world during their lifetime. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
don't focus on changing the world. Focus on just changing.
And the thing is, you can have a bold dream. I'm not saying that you cannot be a dreamer. Like, you can have a dream to change the world, but you need to change your path to doing that. Because the path to doing that is gonna start at your house with yourself. It's not gonna start at the financial system. It's not gonna start at the political level. And really, I really want people to understand is that even if you were that good, like, God gave you so much grace to the point that you're filled with goodness, that you make no mistakes, and that you actually have all the answers to society problems. By you would need to have such a high level in the hierarchy so that you actually have a voice to make those changes in which you say are actually going to change society, even though you have barely no clue. You're stating that.
I think that
The problem with this is that it will be so hard for you to get there, because the people that are currently there, if the corrupt people, they'll make your life hell.
right.
So even, for example, you know, the economic deficit of the United States, like right now, it's 22 trillion, and it's increasing, right?
Right.
And if you look at the outstanding debt, it's even more than that. But the problem with this is this: most politicians that they try to implement laws for us to decrease that deficit, so start paying off debt.
You can't.
You can't get that in.
22 trillion.
Yeah, no, but like if they try to implement, let's say, for example, let's raise taxes, let's cut the money supply, whatever it is, to try to lower this deficit.
Yeah.
As soon as they try to implement a strategy, everyone in Congress shuts it down. So it's so hard. It's like you can really, you know how you can start decreasing the deficit? You being a better financial, have a better financial literacy, and you becoming better at your personal finance, and you teaching the people in your life that you actually can call from your phone right now, and you tell them to do the same. Oh man, don't spend more on your credit card than you can actually spend, because if you do, then if you can't pay it off, it's gonna go back to the government. You already have 22 trillion in that, so that's how you start. You don't need to go there and raise taxes to do that. You just become better at your own life.
So exactly. So I think the idea of changing the world comes from, in one person's lifetime, I doubt it's possible. Even like the biggest names in the world, I think it comes from a legacy. Yeah. People who have left legacies, people whose names are in religions, in textbooks, in households, those are people who have left legacies, and that's what changed the world.
They left their way of living, and what their message, and people were able to pick it up. And I think that's what it really means to honor someone in your life, is to, if you truly say that they've been good for you, is you carrying those lessons out through your life.
Right.
And that's what it really means to continue to use that spark that they started towards making the world a better place. I think that's a much more even humble statement that you can make. It's like, through my life, I want to make the world a better place. I don't want to change the world, because that's too big of a task for even me to comprehend.
Yeah.
And who
especially
am I to,
in one lifetime.
And who am I to say that I actually know what it means to change the world?
Right.
But I can make my life and those around me a better.
Okay.
And that's through how I live and the actions that I take.
Yeah.
I think that's a much more simpler. And it will even make people happier, because the problem with make such a bold statement, it puts so much expectation upon you, that you're always getting disappointed. Because
I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Don't have such.
Yeah, it's like, for example, I'm sure when you started running or when you started getting fit, we always make this mistake. I don't want to speak for you, but like for me, even in the pursuit of bettering my knowledge in business, like I've set so many expectations for myself, or reaching a certain income or whatever, that was so unrealistic.
Right.
But my ego played it out more than my consciousness at the time. Yeah. And every time I wasn't able to reach it, it was such a huge disappointment.
Yeah.
And I felt so guilty for myself that I was like, you lack so much discipline. Even though if I looked a year back in my life, I had crazy improvement of who I was.
Yeah.
So like sometimes that's the problem with putting so much expectation upon yourself too, because you won't see improvement.
Yeah. So there's two ways that I've seen that, like, in myself. The first way was, again, fitness. In the beginning, I'm like, okay, I need to reach this weight. It was a big chunk of it was a big number. And I'm like, okay, obviously I can't get there in a week. I can't just get there by sprinting for like 5 hours. So I focused on, all right, this week I'm going to lose a pound. You know what I'm saying? Next week I'm going to lose. After 2 years, it builds up. Like it adds up. Right, exactly. Another way is so reading, like before this like past year, not 2020, but since April of 2019, so within the last year, I didn't read as much as I read now. And it's primarily because, like, I would see a book at the corner of the table and I'm like, oh wow, that's a really thick book. Like, why would I sit down and read 500 pages? But like, that's not what it is. You just sit down for 10 minutes and read however many pages you could read in 10 minutes. You know what I'm saying? And then do that again tomorrow, and then do that again tomorrow. And that's it's what you accomplish in like a week or 2 weeks or 6 months.
We make the assignments so much bigger than they have to be.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's like
Do
Okay,
something small. It adds
I want
up.
to lose 10 pounds, but don't say I want to lose 10 pounds. Maybe say I want
I want to lose
lose
1 pound this week.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So make things easier, and you'll probably overdo it. But now you didn't set so much expectation upon you
Yeah.
to the point that, like, if you had said 10 pounds in 1 week and you didn't accomplish it, you'll feel so bad for
You just
yourself
downward
that
spiral.
you'll be like, actually,
Screw it. I don't
screw
need
it.
to do
I'm
this.
not gonna do it.
Yeah.
It's like it's impossible.
That's
if-
that's the value of being truthful to yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It gives you positive feedback,
Yeah.
positive reinforcement.
That's a way of being truthful. It's not setting unrealistic
yeah.
goals. I'm not saying that, and I'm telling you that there's people that are gonna be listening to this and they're gonna say, "Oh my God, Pedro, he's not a dreamer. His feet is in the ground. He doesn't like to dream." It's like, no, I'm not saying that you cannot dream. I'm just saying,
Right.
like, be realistic too.
Yeah.
Like there's a way for me to be optimistic, but
you could
also
be optimistic and realistic.
yeah, but if you're setting unrealistic goals, if you're saying that you want complete bliss in your work, and
Yeah.
if you want your soulmate, which I don't believe in, and all these things for yourself, really you're not optimistic towards the future. You're just naive.
Okay. Yeah. I see what you're
That's
saying.
not true optimism. True optimism is realizing, wow, like life is filled with suffering, and we're always sometimes we think we're more competent than we are, but even though that's good that I at least know that, because now I can change that. Because the
Yes.
fact that I know that, okay, it's filled with suffering, but by the actions that I take, I can make it a little more bearable.
That's what you're saying is the definition of optimism.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
What would you say it's a habit that changed your life?
A habit that changed my life was definitely taking baby steps in things. Doing things one step at a time, not trying to jump from step 1 to step 10. That's something that changed my life. Also, actually, I'll keep it to that.
And what's your favorite book and why?
My favorite book ever. My favorite book ever. It would take me a while to think of it, but my
What's
favorite
one of your
book.
favorite
Yeah,
books?
recently, my favorite book is Neurologic. Because it's just so fascinating to see like how the human brain works, even like subconsciously, and how it just even answers questions like that you would never think of. Like one of the questions was, what do blind people see when they dream, or what do deaf people hear when they sleep?
Oh wow!
And it's just like
crazy.
really cool research on just different brain activities and stuff like that.
Wow, that's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
I want to read that. And how can people reach you if they want to learn more about what you do, or even, I mean, clearly if they want to get better fitness, because you can give some quality
Yeah.
advice on that, or just even to get to know more about who you are and connect with you.
Yeah, so my Instagram is just my full name, Yavar Abgin, and so is my Facebook. Also, I recently started posting on my YouTube channel. That's also Yavar Abgin. I'm going to probably make a YouTube video on why I run, because that's literally like completely changed my life, and I plan on running for as long as I can. I'm going to probably make a YouTube video on that, and you could probably watch that soon on my YouTube channel. And yeah, those are the places you could reach me.
Perfect. I'll be attaching all of those in the notes of the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming, dude. It's an honor to have someone that, in a way grew up with me from the aspect of when I moved here.
Definitely.
And just seeing the improvements that you've made throughout your whole life, it's like, it's an encouragement to me, and I bet
Thank
for more people that know you as well. You kind of break the chain of people that say that they can change from a fitness perspective, but also I think just maturity and the way you look at life. And I think you're very open-minded to hearing what others have to say, and
Thank you.
that's a really hard quality to have. It's something that I had to develop over time. But thank you for being here today, man.
I appreciate it a lot. Thank you.
Of course. Bye-bye.